ke 20% lebih rendah daripada harga yang ada sekarang.
Tan Sri Anwar, who is also Communications and Multimedia Minister, said this to reporters after inspecting the prices of goods at a supermarket in Duyung, Melaka on Saturday. He said he was satisfied to see some supermarkets have begun lowering the price of bottled cooking oil, even though the ceiling price for the non-subsidized item will only come into effect on Monday. Tan Sri Anwar added that some supermarkets, such as Maidin, have started selling 5-kilogram bottled cooking oil at RM32.70 each, and he hoped that other chain stores will be able to do the same. He pointed out that it was not necessary for retailers to wait until August 8th to adhere to the ceiling price because some of their stock was bought when the price was still cheap. The government has yet to set a date to lift the ban on chicken exports. Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Minister Datuk Seri Alexander Nanta Linggi, however, said the matter had been previously discussed by the Cabinet.
Sebagai sebuah industri, ini mungkin perlu juga dipertimbangkan dan itu akan diumumkan oleh Kementerian Mafi atau Kementerian Ekonomi dan sebagainya nanti. Itu tunggu sikitlah.
He said this after visiting several booths at the Sarawak edition of the Malaysian Family Aspirations Tour in Kuching on Saturday. Datuk Seri Nanta also assured that there was sufficient supply of chicken for domestic consumption. On August 4th, Agriculture and Food Industries Minister Datuk Seri Ronald Kiandi said the ban on the export of commercial broilers that was still in effect was expected to be lifted on August 31st. The Education Ministry MOE is carrying out the process of legalization or ownership transfer of school land from state governments to the Department of the Director General of Lands and Mines, JKPTG, to ease future planning of school infrastructure. Senior Education Minister Datuk Dr. Razzie Jidin said that the delay in the previous school construction projects was due to the land acquisition process which took so long.
Kita ingin pastikan selepas ini, semua tanah ini adalah tanah milik JKPTG, milik kerajaan yang mana selepas ini, jika nak dilaksanakan pembangunan, tak ada timbul masalah tanah. Begitu juga dengan usaha sama dan kerjasama bersama dengan pihak berkuasa tempatan, PBT. PBT itu juga merupakan antara perkara-perkara yang kita tekankan. Kadang-kadang dah selesai tapi sangkut di peringkat PBT.
Dato Dr. Razzie said this after attending the Sekolah Kebangsaan Putrajaya Precinct 17's 6th Annual Athletics event at Unitan Mini Stadium in Kajang on Saturday. He added that his ministry is also working with the local authorities to ensure that school construction problems, including abandoned ones, can be implemented immediately and do not affect the development of the country's education infrastructure. On Wednesday, the 2021 Auditor General's Report Series 1 stated that the management of school construction projects between 2016 and last year under the 11th Malaysia Plan, including extension projects, was less efficient and less effective. The report highlighted that coordination problems between the state governments, local authorities and utility companies, as well as the issue of project site availability, also contributed to the delay in the school construction projects. Coming up next, 12 killed as bus to Bosnia skids off highway. Stay with us. arrested 19 Palestinians following raids across the occupied West Bank and after carrying out airstrikes against targets in the Gaza Strip. The airstrikes, which Tel Aviv described as a preemptive operation, entered its second day on Saturday, killing at least 12 Palestinians in the worst escalation of violence since last year's 11-day war. Israeli military said the strikes, codenamed Breaking Dawn, followed what they claimed as an immediate threat from the Palestinians and could last for up to a week. As exchanges of fire continued and Israel appeared to broaden the operation on Saturday morning, health authorities in the Palestinian coastal enclave said so far 12 people had been killed by Israeli airstrikes, including a 5-year-old girl and 22-year-old student. Approximately 84 more people were injured. The latest violence is the most serious flare-up between Israel and Gaza in just over a year. The 11-day war in May 2021 left more than 200 Palestinians dead before a ceasefire was agreed. Taiwan on Saturday has accused the Chinese army of simulating an attack on its main island as Beijing continued its retaliation for U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taipei. Taipei said it observed multiple batches of Chinese planes and ships operating in the Taiwan Strait, some of which crossed a demarcation line that divides the strait but which Beijing does not recognize. This prompted the island's military to mobilize air and land patrols as well as deploy land-based missile systems in response. In the meantime, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, meeting with his Philippine counterpart on Saturday, said Washington was determined to act responsibly to avoid a major global crisis. Relations between the two superpowers nosedived in the wake of Pelosi's trip to China's self-ruled neighbor, which it claims as its territory, prompting calls from the UN for urgent de-escalation of tensions. Over in Croatia, at least 12 people were killed when the bus they were travelling in skidded off a highway and into a ditch. According to authorities, the bus carrying 43 Polish pilgrims was en route to Medjugorje, a Catholic shrine in Bosnia, from Podgorica, about 50 kilometers north of capital Zagreb, when the incident occurred. Initial investigations revealed that the driver might have fallen asleep, causing the bus to veer off the road at about 5:40 a.m. local time. The death toll could rise as 18 of the 30 hurt, who were all taken to hospitals in the area, were in a serious condition. Officials said an investigation into the incident has been launched and the section of the road near to the scene has been closed to traffic. Rampant Bayern obliterate Frankfurt. Sadio Mane scored on his Bundesliga debut as Bayern Munich thrashed host Eintracht Frankfurt 6-1 on the opening day of the new German top-flight season. Bayern demonstrated their domination as early as in the 5th minute when Joshua Kimmich's early free kick caught out Eintracht goalkeeper Kevin Trapp to give the visitors a 1-0 lead. Benjamin Pavard added Bayern's second goal 6 minutes later before Mane struck, heading in a clever ball from Serge Gnabry in the 29th minute. Jamal Musiala added his name to the score sheet moments later as he tapped home Thomas Muller's low cross. With Gnabry adding the defending champions 5th just ahead of the half-time, Muller again the provider. Randall Colomwani gave the first goal for Eintracht following a mistake from Bayern's goalkeeper Thomas Müller in the 64th minute. Just for Musiala to put the final nail on Eintracht's coffin with his second of the game 7 minutes before time, sealing an emphatic 6-1 victory. Up next, 3 killed after pickup truck crashes into flyover pillar. This and more after this short break. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, will announce the findings of its investigation into the defects found in the construction of 6 littoral combat ship LCS worth 9 billion ringgit soon. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki said the matter must be referred to the Attorney General's Chambers AGC and other relevant parties before the report can be disclosed to the public. According to Tan Sri Azam, the probe by the MACC was now in its final stage. However, he could not reveal more details as the sensitivity of the investigation and the confidentiality of the case needed to be maintained, as it not only involved the MACC but also the AGC and others. On Thursday, the Public Accounts Committee (PAC) published a report on the LCS. Since then, various parties have urged the MACC to immediately complete the investigation regarding the defects in the construction project of the 6 LCS. In the report findings, the PAC found that the government paid 6.083 billion ringgit to Bousted Naval Shipyard Sendirian Berhad for the direct negotiation project, but no ship has been received so far. According to the original schedule, 5 ships should be ready and handed over by August 2022. Meanwhile, responding to PAC's findings on the LCS project, the Royal Malaysian Navy (RMN) said the delay in the project completion had a negative impact on the combat capabilities of the Navy fleet. As the end user, the RMN said it also had dampened the morale of all of those involved in the Navy who require these LCS ships to carry out their responsibilities effectively. According to a statement issued by RMN's Strategic Communications Branch on Saturday, the LCS acquisition was critical to preserve the sovereignty and security of the country. Therefore, the RMN called on all parties to join hands and support the smooth implementation of the project in order to preserve the sovereignty and safety of the country's waters. The Navy also expressed support for any leakages in the project to be investigated, adding that parties found to be involved must swiftly be brought to justice. It also appreciated the government's decision to proceed with the project and believed that it was the right decision driven by the government's concern to prioritise the country's sovereignty. A local man was arrested by police on Friday night after he was believed to have injured a man who lodged a complaint against him with the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC). Sentul District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Beh Eng Lai said the victim, a 42-year-old local man, sustained a 3-centimetre deep wound on his left wrist after being stabbed with a knife by the man at Jalan Ipoh earlier the same day. In a statement on Saturday, he said initial investigations found there was a misunderstanding between the victim and the 36-year-old suspect who was dissatisfied with the victim for lodging the report relating to misappropriation of money. Beh said the suspect has 3 records of various past criminal offences and the case was being investigated under the Penal Code for causing injury using weapons or dangerous objects. He added that the suspect will be brought to court for a remand application. In Sabah, 3 in a family died while a 4-year-old boy sustained serious injuries after the pickup truck they were travelling in crashed into a flyover pillar at Jalan Lintas, Kota Kinabalu on Friday night. District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Zaidi Abdullah said the driver of the vehicle, his daughter and son died on the spot and in the 11:24 p.m. incident. The deceased were identified as 44-year-old Jimikal Asam, 16-year-old Al-Khail and 11-year-old Sazfa. The injured victim, who is the driver's nephew, is currently receiving treatment at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. It was believed that the incident occurred when the driver lost control of his Nissan Navara and crashed into the concrete pillar near the Luyang Clinic intersection. The impact of the crash caused 2 victims to be flung out of the vehicle while the driver and his son were pinned in their seats. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. In the United Kingdom, Daniel Lismore brings his wearable art titled Living Sculpture to London's Victoria and Albert Museum, featuring everything from rubbish to elaborate headgear studded with jewels. Let's take a look at this showcase as we wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Nadia Azmi. Thank you for watching and stay safe.